going on, everybody? Just doing a quick video here for you to kind of walk you through. I know Chief Hannon kind of mentioned during the risk assessment class that he had about a JOT form that we were putting together to kind of help collaborate all this information that we're gathering to put in an Excel spreadsheet. So I know everybody's kind of seen the Excel spreadsheets that we have. This is the hard copy that Chief Hannon's utilizing. But everybody has the paper copies. It looks exactly the same. For the one you're seeing right now, I've got HCC Fire Science. One of the things I wanted to talk to you about was how we're going to take this information, put it into a JOT form, and pull that information out to be able to use on the back end for when ISO comes in for their audit, and how to use the JOT form, where to find it, and how easy it is to use. One of the things I want to point out to you right now, you'll see this one's already been filled out in Excel spreadsheet form. When we fill these out, I know you guys have all been given paper copies of this, and you're going to take them out with you. We have a couple key pieces of information here. One, at the very top, this is the sheet number. This sheet number correlates with the line number in the Excel spreadsheet that we're pulling all this information into. 2 is the name of the building or business. 3 is the firehouse number, which you can see right here. 4 is the district number that building or business falls into. The employee name and the date it's conducted. These are some key pieces of information that we're going to plug into that you'll see in the JOT form, but we have to make sure we get those pieces of information in there. Specifically the firehouse number and the form number. We have to make sure that these are correct. When we go to compare the form that's going to come out of the JOT form to the spreadsheet that we're using, those numbers are going to have to jive because that's how we're going to transfer those key pieces of information over. So I just want to make sure everybody knows that that's a very important thing to do. My suggestion to you would be is keep the paper forms while you're doing it. Somebody can use the iPad to do the JOT form process of it to file that information, but keep the paper forms. Scribble your notes on them, take everything you need, save those so you have them in case you need to reference. We will collect those at a later date. One of the big things I want to touch on too is the paper forms that look just like this. The paper forms that you have, if you do an apartment that is residential, so it's a residential building that's been converted into apartments. I know he talked about just marking residential on them. We're still going to need those forms back. So make sure you're getting those forms back to us. And if you're out doing these and you make notations on these to update the firehouse information, make sure when you get back you take the ones that need updated and you go into firehouse in each occupancy and you update that information. Whether it's the square footage is different, the building height was labeled different in firehouse, whatever it may be, you're still going to need to go back and check those to make sure the information in firehouse is correct. So that information will need to be updated if it hasn't been. So same form that you're seeing, paper version, it's just in long form. It's not front to back like you're used to. So one of the things I want to bring you over to here, I'll show you. On the front page of EladTech, when I'm on there, we have the link section in EladTech. So if you just come to the top, bring it down, you're going to see a link that says risk assessment form. Okay, that is one way to get to the JOT form to fill out a risk assessment form. I think everybody has EladTech or can get to EladTech on the iPads now with Safari being open. The other way to do this is if we go over to Moodle and we're on Moodle. If you just simply scroll down, there's a big button right here that says risk assessment. Okay, I'm gonna use this link out of Moodle, obviously because I'm Moodle preference. You know, everybody knows I'm all about Moodle. So when I click on risk assessment, it's gonna pull up another form here for me, and it's basically, this is tablet friendly for your iPad. It's just a push button. It's going to have 26 questions just like you have on these paper forms. There's 26 things that you have to answer. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to quickly go through the HCC Fire Science building and log this as a JOT form. So I simply hit the start button and it's going to ask what my employee ID number is. I am 172. I'm going to come through, I'm going to hit next, and it's going to ask me the date. So this will self-populate. You do not have to put any information on here. All this is doing is time stamping the date and the time that you did the inspection. or the risk assessment, I'm sorry. I'm going to hit next, and it's going to ask me the risk assessment form number. Remember when I said earlier, the risk assessment form number is this number right here. Okay, it's this one at the very top of the sheet. Everybody should have that on their sheet. Okay, so my risk assessment form number is 1503. I'm going to hit next. It's going to ask me what my business name is. It's listed on my sheet as HCC Fire Science. I'll hit next, and it's going to say, what's your business address? This will have a Google locate attached to it, so I'll just simply start hitting in the number, and it should self-populate with your cellular connection on your iPad. So I can come down here, okay, here's 3211 East 4th. I click on it, it's going to tell me it's going to input the city, state, and the zip code for me. I simply hit next, and it's going to ask me what my firehouse occupancy number is. The number for this one is 23.021. I'll hit next, and it's going to ask me my response district. From here on out, besides the building square footage and the building height, everything is a drop-down menu. So on response district, I'll come down here, okay, it's station 4, and hit next. On my building square footage, after I measure it and I get my square footage, it is 12,000 feet square footage. I'll hit next. My exposure separation is a 1, because I am, if you can see here, it says 1 equals 101 feet or greater, 2 equals 61 feet to 100 feet, 3 equals 31 feet to 60 feet. So all these questions that you're going to get from here on out are rated on a number system. So 1 being 101 feet or greater. So it's 130 feet is the measurement that was taken, so I'll mark it as a 1 and hit next. Next up is construction type. Construction type is non-combustible, so we see that 2 equals non-combustible. I'll come to my drop-down menu, hit 2, and hit next. My occupant mobility is an awake 1. So I'll come 1 equals awake and ambulatory to 1 to 2 stories. So it is a 1. My sprinkler system is a no, which I think that is a yes, but we're going to put a no. That's what's marked on this sheet. The building height and stories. This is the only other one that you'll have to input information. Remember, we're taking the basement as a story and walkable attics. So the College Fire Science building is a single height building, so it's a 1-story building. We're going to hit 1. Building accessibility. Building accessibility, we all know that building. It has accessibility on all 4 sides, so 1 is going to be all sides. Okay. We'll get next. So if you try to enter in something to go forward without putting an answer in it, it's going to give a shake to you, and it's going to say this is required. So all these answers are required for every JOT form that's filled out. So when I go to occupant load, it's going to be 50 is what we have down. So 50 is going to be a 2, which is 11 to 50. So I'll pick a 2. My alarm system is auto monitored. So it's automatic and monitored, which is a 1. 1 equals automatic and monitored. I'm going to hit next. An alarm system, does it conform to code, yes or no? It's obviously an operation. It works. They have a monitoring service, so it does conform to code. Regulatory oversight for this building is going to be scheduled, so it is a 1. It's regulated and inspection scheduled at random. So it is a 1. I just pull it down and I come to 1. You'll see that now it's 0.33, 0.66. You just have to make sure that your selection matches up with the answer that you need. So experience, we're going to say experience is going to be rare, so it's a 1.666 equals rare occurrences. Next, my hazard index is a moderate. So I come in here and I look. I think they're going to be mixed. So 1 is a mixed hazards. So 1 is mixed hazards. I hit next. the property value. I know Chief Hayden has talked to you about all the sections in this, so this would have some economic impact to us. So at 1.2 equals a moderate economic impact is what he has selected on this. So we're going to hit 1.2. Human activity. For human activity, it is a business with sales and retail. So we're going to choose it as a 1, business activity. Capacity to control, it's going to be within the building of origin. So we're going to pick 0.333. Hopefully we wouldn't let it get to the burn buildings. The fire load is going to be ordinary business. So we're going to call it a 1. And then the closest hydrants. So the closest hydrants for this, you can use Active 911 on the iPad as well. When you're using Active 911 on the iPad, on the iPad you'll be able to double click the big round button. If you just double click it, it'll show you all the programs that are currently running on your iPad, and you will be able to switch between your Safari on the JotForm and Active 911. So if you're on Active 911, you just click on it, it'll bring it up on your iPad. Click on any run, anything that allows you to bring up the map. Just zoom in on the area that you're currently doing the inspection, and it will show you the hydrants all around you. Simply click on the hydrants and it will pop up a little bubble that tells you the hydrant number. I think everybody knows how to do that. So simply find the 2 closest hydrants where you're doing this risk assessment, and then we're going to plug in those numbers. So when I come over, so I'm going to say that the 2 closest hydrants I have are FO8B and H001, and I'll hit next. My next closest hydrant is F0, I'm sorry, 8B H002, and I'll hit submit. Submit is the finishing of my JotForm. What putting these 2 hydrants in, it'll allow us to go back and reference off the spreadsheet it builds, and we can pull that flow test information for all those hydrant numbers so we can cross-reference against our occupancies. So I'll simply hit submit, and it's going to tell you thank you. Your submission has been received is what it should say. When you get to the next one, you can either go back to Moodle, hit that risk assessment button again. Safari, I know it has a refresh button. If you hit refresh, sorry about that, it's probably easier to just come back and hit the risk assessment button. Okay. As soon as you hit it again, it'll open another JotForm. You'll fill it out again, go on down the road. That was kind of a down and dirty explanation of the JotForm, but I just really wanted to express the need for that information that's coming out of that JotForm that will, 1, it's going to help us expedite this process, but 2, it's going to save you guys some time to where you're not having to go through and input this information yourself one by one in a spreadsheet that we make. So this will be able to do it all for us. So I know it may seem like a little bit of a pain, but this is to save you work in the back end, and that's the reason I did this, is I want to make sure we collect all this information correctly. If you have any questions on this, or if you're scared about it, whatever, don't hesitate to call me. I'll walk you through it. I want to make sure we get this done correctly and right, and we get that necessary information for ISO. So if you have any questions about it, either rewatch the video again or give me a call, and I would be glad to help you through this. So if you have any questions, call the training division, and we'll get you worked through it. Thanks.